Ravi and Priya had been married for 5 beautiful years. Their love was pure, filled with laughter and warmth, the kind of bond everyone envied. They lived in a small house where every corner held a memory, a moment of their love. Ravi loved Priya more than anything, always saying, "I'll never leave you, no matter what." But life is unpredictable. One day, Ravi fell seriously ill. Priya stayed by his side, holding his hand, praying for his recovery. But despite all the doctor's efforts, Ravi passed away. Priya's world shattered. She couldn't believe he was gone. The house that once felt so full of love now felt empty and cold. Days passed, but Priya couldn't move on. She spent her nights crying, holding Ravi's old shirt, trying to feel his presence. She talked to him as if he were still there, whispering, "Why did you leave me, Ravi? You promised." One night, as she lay in bed, something strange happened. The air in the room grew cold, and she felt a soft breeze even though the windows were closed. Suddenly, she heard a familiar voice, Ravi's voice. "Priya, I'm still here." Her heart stopped. She sat up, her eyes wide with shock. In the dim light, she saw a shadowy figure at the foot of her bed. It was Ravi, but not quite. He was pale, his eyes distant, but his voice was filled with love. "I told you I'd never leave you," he whispered, his voice soft yet chilling. Priya's tears flowed. "Ravi, is it really you?" He nodded. "Yes, my love, I promised to stay with you, even in death." At first, Priya was comforted by his presence. She felt like she wasn't alone anymore. Ravi would sit by her side, his cold hand resting on hers, whispering words of love. But as time passed, things began to change. Ravi's presence became darker, more possessive. He wouldn't let her leave the house. Whenever she tried to go out, the doors would slam shut. She felt his cold breath on her neck, heard his voice in her ear. "Why do you want to leave me, Priya? You're mine. Forever." Priya's once warm home turned into a prison. She stopped eating, stopped sleeping. The weight of Ravi's presence grew heavier each day. She loved him, but this wasn't the Ravi she had known. He had become something else, something that wouldn't let her go. One night, as she sat in the dark, she whispered, "Ravi, please, let me go." But Ravi's voice, now colder, replied, "I can't, Priya. I love you too much to let you go." Tears ran down her face as she realized that love, even the purest love, could turn into something haunting when it refused to let go. She knew then that the man she loved was gone, replaced by a shadow of what he once was. In a final act of desperation, Priya stood in front of a mirror, staring at her pale reflection. "I love you, Ravi," she whispered, "but you have to let me live." But there was no answer, only the cold silence of the house that once held so much warmth. And in that moment, Priya understood that sometimes love has to let go, even if it means breaking a heart that was once whole.